Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the McShin Foundation's award-winning podcast, Get in the Herd. I am your host slash producer, Justin Bognar, and with me today, I have got a new person in recovery, Mr. Joseph Worsham. Worsham. Sorry, you muted, bud. Go ahead. Worsham. Okay. Joseph is on day 2 of recovery. He just got to the McShin Foundation. If I'm not mistaken, you went to the high school way back when, which is pretty interesting. I haven't actually heard a lot about the high school in recent news, if you will. But I thought that was a fantastic idea. I remember the last time that I was here, it was just kind of in its infancy. Joseph, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 22 years old. It's my second day in recovery. About me, well, I barely graduated high school, so I would say I have a high school education. I've worked like every job you can think of on like the low level, like waiter, lifeguard, dishwasher, fry cook, all those jobs. Kind of been bouncing around between jobs.
Right.
Keep a job for like 2 months, quit, get another job.
Same here, bud.
I'm an
Same
athlete,
here.
like sports. I love
Awesome.
music.
What is your favorite type of music, would you say?
Well, my all-time favorite artist is Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
He's just
Sweet
kind
deal.
of the father of all music. I love his lyrics. I love John Mayer. I love the Grateful Dead. I would say like old music, like all the classics.
Okay. All right. A lot of the stuff that I listen to comes from, older music, especially actually symphonic music. I listen to a lot of metal. And a lot of that stuff is very rooted in symphony and a lot of classic rock, Led Zeppelin, Grateful Dead, stuff like that. A lot of the stuff that I listen to has its roots there. I absolutely love music. It's actually it was my career for a long time. I was a front of house engineer for several years, but then COVID hit and kind of took all that away. Took a huge the music industry itself took a huge hit, and it was a bummer, man. There was no live shows. There's really no opportunity for me to do anything. But either way, so you said you're an athlete.
I haven't played in a while, but
Okay.
I mean, that's always kind of in me, wanting to run around, be active.
Yeah.
Anything
right
with
you.
anything with a ball. I mean,
Nice.
I love water.
Nice. Dude, okay, so you said you love water. Jet skiing, kneeboarding, wakeboarding, stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I haven't done a lot, but I grew up like tubing and stuff, going to the lake, sailing, really, like sailboats.
Are you serious?
My dad took us to the Caribbean like 3 times, and we sailed around the islands. Like the water would be like 100 feet deep, and you can see the bottom.
That is awesome. I've never met a fellow sailor. My dad used to take me sailing all the time. In fact, he used to have a boat. It was called Sugar Magnolia. And I think it was like just over 20 feet. But everything was basically all the rigging was set up right to the what's it called? Not the cockpit, but the
bow.
It's where you stand, where the wheel is and everything. I don't know what the terminology is.
I didn't really try to learn much of it.
It was basically set up so one person could sail it. And I mean, it was a super nice boat. But it ended up that we couldn't get out as much as we wanted to. So boat ended up getting sold. And fun fact, when it was sold, I had a really nice pair of sailing shoes on there that didn't make it off the boat, so I lost them. And that was a little bit of a bummer, but hey, can't really use sailing shoes if you don't have a boat anymore, right?
Yeah.
So, you also talked to me about you like going on long drives.
Yes.
Long drives are awesome. I love going on long drives, cranking up the music and kind of letting everything just, fade away. Um, I drove back and forth from Atlanta a couple of times. I had moved to Atlanta and then I moved back. Um, and I swear the drive to Atlanta it was, I don't know how to describe it, but it was very freeing because it was just me, my stereo, whatever I wanted to listen to, music, podcasts, what have you. But it was just me and the road, and I had my destination, but it was like 8 or 9 hours of just peace, you know. Um, I miss going on road. I used to tour back in the day. And there's nothing quite like getting on the road and just driving endlessly, knowing that you're going to show up somewhere, but just having that open road and having that time just to collect your thoughts and just be alone with yourself for hours on end. Um, it's one of those things that's kind of irreplaceable. Um, so that being said, so you've been at McShin for 2 days now, right?
2 days.
All right. And you're at the Westlake House?
Yes.
Sweet. What do you think about McShin? How do you like it?
Well, I really like the fact that you're not alone in the houses. Like you're laying there and you can hear. Well, I'll start off by saying when I was younger, when I was at the school program, I didn't like the recovery houses. I was like, oh, I don't want to live here. I kind of had this stigma around them.
Mhm.
I like want my own space. But then kind of yesterday, I was just, this is so nice. Like there's people in there doing stuff.
Yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
got like a good vibe. I don't know if all the houses are like this, but our house, I think we're lucky. We got a good house.
Yeah. It's for the most part, I think all the houses are you got a good group of people in all the houses.
Good.
In like I said, I just came from Chamberlain. Um and we had some people that kind of came and went. That's going to happen with Sober Living House. But we had that core group of people that were there for several months and that just kind of did what they needed to do. And those were the people that I could really depend on. If something crazy happened there, I could call them, one of them up and just, hey, can you take care of this real quick. But yeah, man, I get what you're saying about good core group of guys. And it's really kind of hard to find that in a lot of other residences, like sober living residences. That's kind of the one thing I love about what we do here at McShin is the authentic peer-to-peer recovery.
Yeah.
You've got people with the same disease that you have, living with each other, trying to help each other out, holding each other accountable. um and that's like I said, that's one of the big things that we do here. And that's one of the things that like I said, makes this place so incredibly special. um right now, I don't know where I would be if McShin didn't exist. um I this is my second time through. The first time I came, uh I moved into well, they moved me into Chamberlain. I actually stayed at Chamberlain the entire time that I was here the first time. I came in, I was here for 6 months. And I got a sponsor and had a home group and all that good stuff. And I was going to meetings regularly. Um, but I was one of those, oh, look at me, I'm recovered, which as someone who suffers from substance use disorder, there is no recovering from that. It's something that sticks with you for your entire life, and it's something that you have to work on daily. you know um but at the time, I kind of, I won't say I didn't know that, because I had been told, be very careful about straying away from the herd, essentially. um but I felt okay. I ended up moving in with my sponsor, and not like, I'd say, not even a month after, excuse me, month after I moved in with him, uh, I was using again. You know, um, I had stopped going to meetings. I had pretty much left the recovery community altogether. Um, and I, like I said, I thought I had this recovery stuff in the bag. I thought I knew what I was doing. I got this. I'm 6 months in. I know everything. And sure enough, I started using again. And I didn't know that I had gotten as bad as I had. Um, until I found myself uh essentially going through, a couple of years later, doing nothing but uh, laying in bed, listening, or excuse me, staring at the ceiling, going through crazy withdrawals, unable to eat, unable to sleep, unable to do anything. I could barely take a shower, um, and it was awful. And everything, my whole life fell apart. My relationship fell apart. I mean, that was one of the first things to go. I had no license, I had no job, I had nothing. All I had was just the roof over my head. And I barely had that. And I remember making a phone call and going to Tucker's for a little over a week. I actually asked to stay a couple of days longer at Tucker's than they recommended because I wanted to make sure I was completely detoxed. Um, and then as soon as I got out of Tucker's, I came straight here. In fact, Tucker's paid for a cab for me to come here. And I had called here while I was there, but I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know where to go, or excuse me, I didn't know, what to do or anything like that because the whole staff had changed since I had been here last. Um, I actually called in looking for Bob, and Bob no longer works here. Mo has Bob's job. Um, but what they told me is they said, "Come on in, you know, we'll get you sorted out." And I didn't have any money. I barely had clothes. I looked like garbage. I felt like garbage. But I remember walking in and I sat at Joyce's desk and she said, "Tell me about yourself." And I explained everything to her. Um, and she said, "Okay, well, what kind of funds do you have?" And I said, "I'm waiting on my tax check to show up." She said, "Don't worry about it. We got you covered. Got you covered." I mean, what other organization is going to do that?
Right.
Oh, you're broke? Come on in. We got you. You know, um, that's not something you find everywhere. Um, and it was interesting because Nathan got wind of the fact that I had come back and that I was, going to be living in housing again. And sure enough, he comes downstairs into Joyce's office and just looks at me. And the cool thing about me and Nathan is I was the house leader at Chamberlain the last time I was here. And that's when Nathan got here, was several years ago when I was house leader. So, and me and him, we really got off to a very good start. We immediately formed a connection. Um, it was a fantastic friendship and it still is. I didn't talk to him for a couple of years while I was out doing my thing. Um, but as soon as I came back, you know, it was just this overwhelming feeling of welcome back, open arms, we got you covered. Um, which fast forward to today, that's kind of, how I got into doing all this. That being said, the first couple of weeks, in a recovery organization, the first couple of weeks of recovery, or at least even just getting clean, not necessarily recovery, are weird. It's weird, man. You don't know quite how you feel. You're trying to figure everything out. You're in an environment with, a bunch of other guys. Everything is just, it's different. It's completely different. It's a lot to take in. Um, What was your experience like when you first got here? Like, how did you overcome that awkwardness, that weirdness? I mean, I know you've only been here for 2 days, but you
Right.
seem pretty comfortable.
Well, like you said, I'm familiar with McShin,
Mhm.
but I came here not really coming to McShin. I came for the meeting, the AA meeting, and some of the McShin participants they suggested that I do the program, and I was homeless. I mean, I just left the hotel. All my money was gone, so I came to the meeting, and they were like, everyone was just kind of like, "You should do it." And in the past, when I was a kid, I was pushed into recovery by force, basically by,
Mhm.
because you're a kid, you're basically property.
Right.
So I wasn't ready for it then. I didn't have enough pain, but this time I came in just like ready for that love, and I kind of forgot that it was like that, and everyone was just kind
Yeah.
of like, "We got you, man." Everyone was
Yeah.
just like, I didn't feel like I had to do anything. I'm just gonna sit here and just breathe. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna breathe, and as I was breathing, everybody was just kind of like, "We got you, we got you, we got
Yeah.
you." And then it was really nice. It was just really relieving, and it was weird because that morning I just like felt this despair, and I was like, I don't. I mean, I've never really been the kind of addict to think about suicide and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but I didn't really know what I was gonna do,
Yeah.
so I didn't plan to come here.
What are
It
my
just happened.
options? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So it was really cool. I never felt that kind of I don't know. I've been yeah, it really felt like it was something else's will, like for real.
Yeah.
I've never had that feeling, and even when I was getting high the night before, like weird stuff was happening. Like I went on a walk and I'm real messed up, and I find like these cards, and they're talking about like heaven and Jesus and stuff on the cards, not to like not nothing really. It literally said like you can go to heaven without religion, without health, without
Mhm.
all this stuff. And then I was like, okay, I didn't think about it. I was like, this is kind of cool.
Mhm.
And then that morning, I went to a meeting, and the meeting wasn't happening because I thought maybe like the COVID, messed up the schedule or something. But there was a coin there on the table, and it had on the front of it, it said 1 day at a time with praying hands. And on the back, it had the serenity prayer. And I'm like, okay, this morning is like weird, but this is
Yeah.
good. I went to another meeting. They weren't having the meeting there either. I didn't know why. So then I
Oof.
said, I know at McShin they're having high noon. So I went to
Yeah.
high noon, and I didn't share, but like it was a really good meeting, and I felt like everyone was really connected, and like I
Right.
felt like
Right.
people were looking at me, and everyone's looking at everybody,
For sure.
and it just felt good. And like I didn't want to leave. I didn't know where I was gonna go. I was just sitting at the
Yeah,
smoke
yeah.
shack, and I literally it was literally I didn't think about it. I didn't think about the decision. Someone said it, and it sounded like a good feeling. It
Right,
sounded like a
right.
good, happy feeling, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But, like, I don't know, people tell me, like, it's easy to not easy, but they say, like, there's difference between, being clean for 2 days or 2 weeks and then actually staying in it. So,
Right,
like,
right.
I'm not trying to just be like, "Oh, this is awesome," because I know I'm in the stage where haven't really done anything
Mhm.
yet, but I feel good, man. I feel, like,
Well,
hopeful.
I mean, honestly, just by you being here and sharing your story, like that's huge. You know,
Yeah,
it's don't take that for granted. I mean, that speaks volumes about your character, man. You know,
thanks.
um, isn't it crazy though? Like when somebody makes you do something like this, it doesn't usually stick. You know,
Yeah,
the first time that I came through here, I wouldn't say I was forced, but I was heavily coerced. Um, the experience was fantastic, and like I said, I did stay clean for 6 months, but I didn't want to. It wasn't me. I didn't I didn't really care about staying clean. I didn't really care about recovery. I cared about making the person that made me come here satisfied that I had done this. Um, this time though, it's a completely different mindset that I have. I being My recovery is the most important thing in the world to me. Um, and it is that way because without my recovery, I don't have anything else. I know what I know what the Justin of back in the day looks like. And that's not ever something that I want to look like again. I don't ever want to look in the mirror and hate what I see, you know? And I did that for years. And it was because, you know, I, I didn't put this first, I didn't put this whole thing first. Um, and when they say, you have to change your people, places, and things, they are not kidding. You have to do that. Um, my the people I surround myself with these days is completely different. Um, the things that I do are completely different. Even the job that I work, like I never saw myself doing any of this. I was always the one to, you know, chase after the 9 to 5 weekends off, that type of job,
Yeah.
and this is just because I know that part of this is, you know, let me think about how I want to word this properly. Part of this is advocacy work, because this actually goes out to a lot of people. We send this out to jails and institutions. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head what the number is, but basically, people that are experiencing incarceration, um, this goes out for free, and they get to watch this on tablets. Um, and this turns out to be a hope shot for those people. They see, a couple of people who, are living with substance use disorder, are able to, you know, sometimes with no funds, get into a recovery organization and actually get their lives back on track. Like that's huge,
Yeah.
um of course, these scholarships aren't free. They take money, and we're always looking for the best way to to fund them. Matter of fact, our okay, so Honesty just said it's 48 jails. um the first comment she put up was, yes, same day recovery bed with no money. I love raising funds for scholarships. um like I said before, I think scholarships is one of the things that is the absolute coolest about this place. Being able to just come in as you are with nothing and knowing that you're going to get the help you need, and you're going to get it that day. Because I know plenty of other organizations, especially, state-run organizations that, oh, well, we can give you a same-day assessment, but we can't necessarily give you a bed the same day,
Yeah,
you
it was
know?
real easy,
Yeah, yeah. I
the
mean,
process to come
what
in.
what good is it to say, oh, because if I make the decision that I want to get myself clean and get my life back on track, that decision may be a decision I made because I feel good at that point in time. If I'm in active addiction, what's to say I'm not going to feel completely different the next day or when they tell me to come back in? 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to want to come back in. Like, oh, that
Right.
sounded good at the time, but maybe I was high or whatever, and it's just, oh yeah, now I want to get clean. Like that just. But here, like, you make that decision. You come. In fact, the first time I came here, I had already made the decision that I wanted to be here. This is well, the first time I came, I had made the decision that this is where I was going to go. And I came in and I met with Bob. Um, and I didn't really know how any of this worked at all. And I said, "Hey, I want to I want to come here. You know, I want to give this a try. I want to make this work." Um, and I was staying with my parents at the time. And I ended up, I didn't know about the same day bed and everything. And when I got here, I didn't have any of my stuff with me. All I had was me, clothes I was wearing, in my truck. And he said, "So," and I remember Bob said, "So um, so this is what you have. Okay, well, let's get you set up in a bed." And I said, "Oh, wait, no, 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 not right now." And he was like, "Why not?" And I was like, "Well, because I wasn't planning on staying right now. Like, I'm gonna go home and stay the night at my parents' house so I can pack my things and then come back." And he was like, "No, just stay. Let us put you in a bed." Like,
Yeah.
he wasn't like forceful, but he was very
Excuse me.
insistent. He was just like, all right, well, and by the end of it, I was just like, no, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna pack my stuff. I'm gonna go grocery shopping. I'm gonna do all the things. Then I'm gonna come back. So he gave me his card and he was just like, please call me tomorrow. He was like, call me in the morning. I get here at 9 o'clock. Call me, please come in. I really want you to be here. Said, okay, and I did, and the rest is history. But it was just I didn't I didn't expect him to be so insistent that I stick around, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so um, by the by the end of the conversation, I had a whole new respect for what same day meant, you know. Um, so you said, sorry, this microphone is about to fall. This desk has a weird edge on it. Sorry, everybody, while I adjust my equipment. Um, so tell me what your goals are, man. What are you trying to achieve while you're here? Obviously we don't come to a place like this with nothing in mind. Like
Yeah.
there's stuff we want to get back.
Yeah. Um, well, I made a real hard effort to keep a job and keep my car and kind of keep certain material things while I was using.
Hmm.
And it kind of gave me this delusion that had something, which I did, but at the same time, in that time, like I didn't really know what a relationship was. I didn't realize that, like, my understanding right now is that life is more or less about relationships, whether
Hmm.
it's yourself or myself or my friends or my family. So the main thing I want to get back, the goal I have is I want to have relationships where, just kind of like a normal thing. I want to have relationships that are strong and that I feel comfortable and I don't feel like afraid. And I don't know. I don't really have too many materialistic goals right now,
Hmm.
but I really just want to like learn who I am because I
That's
really,
that's a huge one. That's a
yeah,
huge one. That's the thing when when we're using. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. When we're using, man, we don't really know who we are, and that's a crazy concept to wrap your head around. But we're high all the time.
hmm
We're either high or we're wanting to get high. Um, and you don't really have a chance to get to know yourself, to look at yourself in the mirror. You don't really have a chance to uh, put you, your best foot forward. You're putting the foot forward that whatever drug you use is telling you to put forward. You know, um, when, when I was using my biggest excuse for wanting to use was, oh, I gotta, I have pain every day and I can't pay attention to anything. So I got to use these drugs to make myself feel better so that I can put my best foot forward. And looking back, I'm like, man, like I didn't know what that really meant. I had no idea what that really meant. Um, and now that, I'm active in my recovery and I'm not using, man, does it feel good to start to realize who Justin is. That's a fantastic feeling. Like the things that I like doing uh are completely different than they were when I was in active addiction. And it's funny because I try to go back and do some of those things and it's just like I this isn't enjoyable.
right,
This isn't fun at all. um One of the things I like doing right now, or I say like love doing, is going to the gym. That's probably, other than doing this podcast, that is the most fun thing that. And when I say fun, I mean like I'm kind of obsessive about it.
how does it help
Uh,
you?
it helps me because what it does is we all get cravings, as someone with substance use disorder, we're all going to get those cravings. And one of the hardest things about getting clean is not necessarily being triggered by cravings. For me personally, it's being triggered by my emotions. Um, we start to feel everything again, and we have to learn how to sit with our feelings, and we have to learn how to be happy. We have to learn how to be sad. We have to learn how to be sometimes depressed. We have to learn how to be angry. We have to learn how to just deal with those emotions, because those are things that we just, would mask with a drug or alcohol or something like that. Um, when I get, you know, uh, to feeling a certain way, whether it's, angry or, sad or depressed, first thing I do is I go to the gym. Um, and whatever emotion I'm feeling, I can relieve that overwhelming sense of I have to, I have to overcome this emotion. I have to deal with this emotion. Um, I go to the gym, I lift a few weights, and all of a sudden, I'm in a different mood, and I can take a step back and think about why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. Um, think about what I could have done differently to maybe not feel a certain way. Um, and kind of think about how I can digest those emotions, um, and and not have to drown them in you know drugs or alcohol or anything like that. Um, also, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I love the way I look right now. You know,
Hmm.
going to the gym definitely has an effect on your body physically. And man, when I my friends used to make fun of me, uh, used to call me Gumby, because I was very tiny when I got here. I was tall, but I was very skinny. I had no meat on my bones, no muscle to speak of, no nothing. And sorry. Um, and I've never been a very muscular guy. I've never been one of those guys that just could lift, a lot of weights and really, kind of excel at that kind of thing. I don't have necessarily that frame, but I've always wanted it.
Yeah.
My brother, he used to be really into powerlifting, and years ago, shoot, probably decades ago, um, I told him, I said, "Hey, I need you to make me a workout plan, that is going to get me big. I want to be big." I had this goal of just increasing my size, like, the whole Arnold look.
Yeah.
And he was like, "All right, dude." He was like, "You don't necessarily have the frame for that. Like, you're more of a, you know, get tone and be able to run fast and jump high and swim and all that stuff. Like, you're not really powerlifter." He was like, "But we can do it." Ah, that was a mistake. That was an absolute mistake, because I hurt myself. I mean, my knees are shot today. My shoulders are not doing so hot. My back, like, I hurt myself. I was trying to lift way too much weight, and I was kind of ignoring how my body was. Um, these days, I'm able to focus on kind of my frame and, you know, work with my body as opposed to against it to try to achieve the goals that I want to. Um, and getting back to your question, how does that help me? That gives me something to focus on. It gives me something that I'm proud of. Um, I go to the gym at 5:30, 6 o'clock every single morning. Um, I just joined Golds, which I used to be a member there years ago. Um, and it is such an awesome gym. They've done a bunch of renovations and everything. Um, it's funny because I run into to Matthew Connor there every single morning. He's our data guy here. Um, and we say what's up to each other. And he said the first time we ran into, he said, "Oh, you move out and you immediately join an awesome gym, right?" I was like, "Yeah, pretty much." Like, because you get after, I think 2 weeks of living in sober living, I'm not sure what the time frame is, but if you stick around, you end up getting a free membership to Crunch,
Oh, nice.
which is pretty awesome. I mean, a free gym membership, like, how do you beat that? Um, but you get that free membership, and shoot, if if you do it right, I mean, you'll be feeling better both physically and mentally within a few months.
Yeah,
Um, and feeling physically well, and being able to be proud of yourself, that's so important when it comes to recovery. you know um
yeah,
because, well, I don't even have to say that, because we all know why. um we if you're like me, and you've been struggling with this disease for as long as we all have, um you started to hate yourself.
yeah,
You started to hate the person you'd become, um, and you longed to become a different, better person. You know, um, and your mental well being is incredibly important to that, but your physical well being is also, I think, equally as important. Um, because without those two kind of balancing each other out, you may love how you feel, and the things you're able to do, but you still don't have that pride when you know I don't know, that's
yeah.
just me. I'm kind of going off on a
It's kind of
tangent,
like
but
it's kind of like we're all worth something. Like I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but I like when I was a kid, I was like superstar. I was like athlete. My
Mm-hmm.
parents were like, God, like you're an athlete, like you're
Right,
awesome. And then I
right.
kind of, just lost my worth. Like I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm not
yeah.
worth anything. And I would kind of like look in the mirror, and I didn't really know how I felt. Like it felt more like indifference than
Mm-hmm.
hate. But
Yeah.
it's like, it's like hate. It's like I want to love this, but I can't for some reason. But I just kind of didn't really have any feelings toward myself. I just kind of saw like a hollow like shell. Um, but I mean, like I think kind of what I got out of what you were saying about the gym, it's like a coping
Mm-hmm.
mechanism,
Yeah.
and like that's one thing
And that's what it is.
yeah, I have
Yeah.
like zero. I mean, I play guitar. That's kind of my coping mechanism.
That's perfect though.
But at the same time, I can't really. I don't. With using and stuff, it's been hard to actually use that in a good way to actually put my feelings into it because I haven't really had any.
Right,
And like,
right.
my biggest thing is kind of like I woke up yesterday, my first day, clean, sober, and I just felt kind of like immediately I just kind of sensed that anger inside me that I haven't felt in a while,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of like addressed it to myself
Right.
in a way. I kind of admitted that it was there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of what I want something to be able to express anger. I don't know if that's like, I mean, I've never really had the for when I go to the gym, I'm kind of like, I don't really want to do this type thing. But I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like if it
yeah.
was kind of more of a game around it, like fighting or something,
Mm-hmm.
like boxing or
Yeah.
kickboxing or something like that, to kind of be like, okay, now it's okay for me to be like mad and be like an animal, but in like a healthy way
Yeah.
instead of like
Yeah.
an animalistic way, getting high.
Well, I was talking to my girlfriend about this the other day, and I asked her because I was genuinely concerned. Um, my big thing is, I don't. So my disease is going to show itself somehow. It's going to show itself in some way, shape, or form. Now, it's all I can do to have control over how it shows itself. Because it's always going to be there. That's just how it is. Um, And like I told you, I have become obsessive about going to the gym every day. I don't care if I'm hurting, if I have a migraine. I get migraines a lot. If I have a migraine, if one of my knees is acting up so bad that I can't, I'm going to the gym. I don't care if I have to, work on my finger muscles.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go and work something in some capacity. And I was talking to my girlfriend about it because she's gonna start coming with me pretty soon. Um, and I looked at her and I was just like, "Do you think, like, this is too much? Like, is this how my disease is showing itself right now? Like, have I become obsessive about going to the gym? Have I become overly is it too much essentially, you know? Because I didn't want it to become just an outlet for my disease. I wanted it to be something that, I love doing. And she said, so what if it is? You know, like you have control over it. You can you can decide that you don't want to go, and if you can't go, you can't go, it's not a thing that, you absolutely must do or else you can't function. And she said, and what's the consequences?
Yeah.
Oh no, you get in better shape, you know? Like the way that I work out, the worst thing that's going to happen to me is I could hurt myself. But I don't if something hurts, I don't work it, you know? So that's not really I won't say that doesn't apply to me, but it kind of doesn't apply to me, you know? Um, and she made me feel a lot better about it because it was just like I could accept the fact that, well, maybe that is, my disease showing itself, but at the same time, like I'm in control of it at that point,
Mhm.
like I can decide, what I'm gonna let out versus what I'm not going to, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds like a good obsession.
yeah, because the worst thing about this sickness is we don't have control over it. Once we let that monster out, like you were saying earlier at the house, once we uncage that beast, man, it takes over, and that thing stays hungry too. It wants to eat constantly, you know.
Yeah.
And the minute we feed it, it's just this insatiable hunger. You can never satisfy it. Like they say, one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. And that's I didn't quite know what that meant at first, but I get it. I absolutely get it. Um, because the minute we do that one, it's off to the races, um we give ourselves that permission,
Yeah.
even if it's a you know for and this is just for me. I can't do anything ever again. Like I can't take a sip of alcohol. I can't smoke weed. I can't snort one line of cocaine. I can't do any of that stuff, and I'll never be able to again. And there's a certain piece of that that's kind of a bummer because there's family traditions.
Yeah.
One of the things that the Bognar boys used to like to do is, at holidays, we'd sit around a bottle of red velvet, and we would usually finish the bottle and we sit there and reminisce about, the past and talk about grandma and grandpa and that type of thing. And that's never going to that's never going to be a reality for me. But, you know, that doesn't mean I can't sit there and sip on a Coke,
Yeah.
like I don't have to be drunk to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and they're supportive of that. They're like they would never try to offer me a shot
Yeah.
and just be like, You can do one," because they know that I can't just do one, you know. Um, because the minute I give myself that permission to do that one, it's all over. I've given myself permission to do everything. And that's one of those things that I'm talking about when I say, uncaging that beast and feeding him once, that's the beginning of the end right there. And I know myself to the point where if I give myself that permission, that's it. I'm back to square one, like I've gotten so much back already, and it's only been 7.5 months. You know, um, I don't have a lot of clean time under my belt. I can only imagine how, how life is going to be a year, 2
Mhm.
years, 5 years down the road, like that's so exciting and that gives me so much to look forward to, you know. Of
For
course it
sure.
seems so incredibly far away now, but it's like life is happening, and it's awesome because I actually get to show up for it now, you know,
Yeah.
and problems that come up,
Excuse me.
it's like that saying, life on life's terms. Um, Life is not easy. Life is hard, and I'm not saying that as oh, life is hard,
Yeah.
like that's more of a, as someone, as an addict, I mean, when life gets hard, that's what we do. We use,
Yeah.
we use, and that's how we deal with life. But I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to do that. Um, and I keep bringing up sayings, but like one, and I forget exactly how it goes, but I think it's just simply, like you don't ever have to use again, something to that effect. And I know what that means, like I don't I don't have to put one in me to be able to deal with life,
Mhm.
like I'm still learning because I'm still a newcomer myself, I don't have any of this. I still don't know what I'm doing, um but I know how to, not use. I know how to do that part,
Yeah.
and that's, in my opinion, that's the first step, man. Just knowing how to not use,
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man. So I've kind of been talking a lot and I apologize.
No, no.
I get really passionate about this stuff, man, because I've gotten so much back in so little, in such a small amount of time, and honestly, I have McShin to thank for it, every bit of it. Um, so what do you do Sunday mornings?
I really don't know.
Really don't
I
know.
don't go to church. I probably just wake up and, smoke weed and get high. But
Yeah,
now I don't know
yeah,
what I'm gonna do.
right. Okay, so I'm going to formally invite you to come to the chapel and check out the Breaking the Bondage of Addiction
At the
service that we
service.
have. Yeah,
Cool.
it's non-denominational. Everyone is welcome. Um, it's, they say God, but when when they say God, it means good orderly direction.
Mhm.
It's the God of your understanding. It's not a Christian faith-based type thing. It's come as you are. um I don't like, I'm not necessarily a churchgoer. Well, I'm not a churchgoer.
Right.
um
Not religious.
no, I'm not religious at all. I got into religion for a little while, but had some experiences and decided that it wasn't for me. That being said, um, Breaking the Bondage is one of the coolest services that I've ever experienced. And I don't just say that because, I'm essentially doing this during the service, running a live stream and all that. Just the amount of energy that not only Walter, but the crowd and, the speakers. I mean, there's just this overwhelming amount of energy that you can't help but like, you can't help but feel something, you know. Um,
I used to go when I was in the high school.
did you?
Yeah, I liked it.
It's gotten a lot different. Or at least I think it has. I don't necessarily um, know what it was like back in the day because I never attended it. But um, we've got, yeah, you're gonna hear that. We've got, you know, a pretty big crowd. We've got some regular people that come in, and you know, they there's just the singing and the dancing and the I mean, it's not a big deal for Walter to literally just take off and run around the crowd just because he's, so full of energy and
Yeah,
so hyped about it. And that man loves what he does. He absolutely loves what he does. And you can tell. You can definitely tell. Um, but yeah, I want you. I think that would be awesome if you came to
I'm
that.
gonna come.
Yeah, I mean, it starts at 9:30, lasts till anywhere between 10:30 and 11. Um, and if you're not required to be there, some of the program guys are required to be there. But if you're not, man, and you show up and you don't find yourself getting into it, you don't have to stay.
Are there still
You know.
donuts?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's still donuts, but you got to get to them early because they disappear like that.
I
And
remember that.
honestly, I usually never get any of the donuts because I'm always setting stuff up and making sure that this is working and that's working. And by the time like I can kind of sit back and just like breathe a little bit, all the donuts are gone.
Sorry
And
about that, man.
no, I mean, that's why I need somebody that can
I'll
help
save
me
you a
out.
couple.
Yeah, there you go. That's why I need somebody that can help me out so I can just be like, all right, now's donut time. Go get us a couple of donuts. Uh, I always end up getting a cup of coffee. Um, but really, I get into what I do too, and I don't ever have time to stop and eat donuts and drink coffee and stuff like that. Um, but like I said, man, it's a really cool service that we have, and it's uh it's got some traction, and I think it's the more time and energy that we put into it, I think it's going to be a pretty big thing. And you know it's again it's something that the McShin Foundation does. None of it would be possible without McShin. It's amazing what this organization is able to do. And it's because we have staff that we love what we do. You know, we're
Mhm.
not just here for a paycheck. Like we all love what we do. We're here because we're passionate about recovery and bringing, the message of recovery to those that are still sick and suffering. Um, anyways, there I go again. Sorry. Um, we're about out of time, but I want to give you an opportunity for the last word to say anything you want to say, you know, anything that you want to bring up that we didn't talk about.
Um, I don't know. Just one thing I was thinking about randomly. I don't know why. This was like a long time ago, but it stuck with me. I was in a meeting one time, and this old man was like sharing. He was like one day, and there was like a bunch of us young kids there, and he was kind of
Hmm.
talking to us. And he was like, one day y'all are gonna look in the mirror and be glad that you have this disease. You're gonna be glad that you're an addict or an alcoholic or whatever. And I didn't really understand that, but um, I don't know. I think, like you said, we're all like we're not normal people, whatever normal means, but
Hmm.
like we're kind of like awesome in a way
Yeah,
because I
we
think
are.
everyone's an addict, but not everyone's a drug addict. So like I think that if I can do this, I think I have a chance at like having a good life. You know what I mean? And actually doing something for myself
Dude, I'll
instead
tell
of
I'll tell you this.
failing.
I'll tell you this right now. If you can do this recovery thing, you're a beast. I mean, you are an absolute monster because this shit is not easy. This is hard, man. This is real hard. You as addicts, we have to live with this every second of every day. We have to have an amount of willpower that most people don't possess. You know, we have to fight with this monster every single day. And we have to live with the knowledge that A, we're never going to be able to going to have I don't want to say ability, but we're never going to get high again. That's something that bums a lot of people out, especially those new in recovery. You know, I like, I had a lot of fun when I was getting high. I have way more fun now that I'm not getting high, but there was plenty of good times. Now there was way more bad times than there were good. And God, having to get high is a nightmare. It starts out fun and you have fun.
Yeah.
But God, when it becomes something that you have to do, oh, that is a nightmare. Knowing that you can't do the most basic of things without first having to get your drugs or whatever it is, like that is no way to live your life, I forgot where I was going with that.
It stopped being fun for me too. Like,
yeah,
once it stopped being
does
fun,
stop being fun.
it never got fun again.
Yeah,
know?
And it never will. Oh yeah, and B, the fact that there's no cure for this. There's no cure for this. We're wired differently, the only thing we can do is maintain, maintain our recovery. That's the only medicine that we have, and you do that by staying active in the recovery community, going to meetings if that's your thing, talking to other people in the recovery, telling on your disease, essentially, shoot, I'm probably gonna have to get surgery on this knee, telling on my disease includes me saying the first thing that I have to tell these doctors is, look, I have substance use disorder. If I can get away without opiates, please, let's make that happen. Now there's, they exist for a reason. There's sometime, if you have major surgery, yeah, you're probably going to need them. But there's ways to manage that, but if I can get away with just, a heavy dose of naproxen or something like that, let's do that, anyways, I could go on about that forever. That's a whole different show. Man, it was great talking to you today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me. This has been really good for me to do this.
I like doing these check-ins, man. And I especially like talking to people that have just gotten here. Because you're still in that this is weird phase. Yeah.
It's like you're not high, but you're not really sober either.
Yeah. And that's tough. It's not easy. But like I said, man, if you can stick with this recovery stuff, like you are one tough son of a bitch. And I'm just gonna put that out there, So you're gonna be staying in sober living, or?
Yeah, that's where I'm staying.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Well, like I said, it was great talking to you. That wraps up the show for this week. I don't think we have much scheduled next week. Matter of fact, I don't think we have anything scheduled next week yet. But that's going to be something that probably happens over the weekend. So we'll definitely make sure that we get the schedule out and all that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching out there. And we're going to be up on all of our podcast platforms, probably, I don't know, next day or so. Yeah. So thanks for watching, everyone. And yeah, we will see you guys next week.
Here at McShin, we believe in the McShin way, which is authentic recovery support service providers, people with lived experience, bringing that experience to those who need that lived experience in recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in many things to support our mission. We believe in women empowerment.
What I love most about what we believe here at McShin is we believe in the authenticity of the peer-to-peer approach.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in giving people opportunity.
Here at McShin, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
At the McShin Foundation, we believe in helping people reach their full potential.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in multiple pathways to recovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in placing principles before personalities to help spread hope.
Here at McShin, we believe that recovery is possible and that any person seeking recovery can become a more acceptable, responsible, and productive member of society.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe in self-discovery.
Here at McShin, we believe in saving lives and offering second chances.
Here at McShin, we believe you can do this.
Here at the McShin Foundation, we believe that we can only keep what we have by giving away, which is why we continue to help others like us seek and find recovery.